It's time to cling to the past like there's no tomorrow, because pretty soon for 2024, there won't be. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are nearing the end of 2024. It has been a phenomenal year for Raid. It's been a phenomenal year for me, and I am certainly looking forward to 2025. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about 2024, more specifically, which champions have affected my accounts the most. And I went through this and I started making a list, and I decided I was going to break this list down into three different sections. So I'm going to highlight three champs that affected both of my accounts particularly well. I'm going to highlight three champions that affected my main, and then I'm going to talk about three champions that really affected my alt. So it's going to be, a bit of an interesting mishmash of where we are at. And it's kind of interesting to look at because obviously, as I mentioned, some of these champions affected both accounts, and both these accounts were definitely in different places at any given time. Without too much more ado, let's go take a look at some of the champions that affected both of my accounts in 2024. So first up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the dad bod. We have Thor Feyhammer. Thor was a fusion that happened a couple months ago during the Odin event, and Thor has been an amazing account changer on both of these accounts. Now, on my main, I had Ethos doing a lot of the stuff that Thor has kind of moved into, and whether or not Thor is faster than Ethos, I don't know. In fact, I think Thor is probably a little bit faster than Ethos in a couple cases, but Thor basically fits very well into campaign farming. He also fits very well into the minnow farming. But the reason I've kind of taken Thor over Ethos is Thor has also proven to be a very good damage dealer in Hydra. And even on my alt, I've actually used him in Arena because he does so much damage. He's actually been a very viable Arena nuker as well. So he has managed to transform both accounts, changing things I didn't think I actually really needed to change. But the change for campaign farming was just kind of made sense because he did save me some time there. And for Minnow, it's actually really nice. I tested it out. I can get Minotaur runs with Thor, actually on both accounts, in maybe 12 to 15 seconds, maybe a little longer. Sometimes it goes 20 seconds. But regardless, being able to shave 10 to 20 seconds off of my Minotaur farming doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're going to run 175 Minotaurs, 10 seconds per run saves a lot of time overall. So it's very nice to have a speed farmer in Thor for that, and he does it very well in the same gear I would build him for Hydra, and the same builds I would do it for Hydra. So it makes it very easy for me to not have to shuffle gear around as well. So he is certainly a little stat hungry because you definitely want the accuracy, but that's actually really where having a huge blessing on him has been a godsend as well. And the fact that I could get the 5-star soul for him probably plays a little bit in a role as to why I've been using him all over the place, because that 5-star soul made him so much easier to gear, giving him extra accuracy, extra crit damage, extra attack, extra defense, extra HP. It's just been so huge. But Thor, definitely one of my favorites for 2024. Now, I know Armand's here is a little bit controversial because he is such a pain in the arena, but it is really hard to say that he has not changed the game, given how much the arena changed just because of this one champion. He is single-handedly one of the most devastating champions to have to go against in Arena, while one of the best champions to have on Arena. But on top of that, for folks that needed him for things outside of Arena, he is great for wave clear and wave control. I have actually used him for Dark Fae teams in Centranos. He is a very flexible and usable champ in a lot of areas because the amount of control that he brings, the amount of turn meter droppage, the stealing, the stuns, the fact that you can sheep and strip people, he can do all kinds of really cool things that can be helpful in both arena and non-arena settings. He is a meta setter, which is something you don't get a lot of in Raid. You get champions that will kind of shift the arena here or there. You get gear that shifts the arena a little bit. Armand's was a meta setter and disrupted the arena meta probably as much as Tormund did 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, I wasn't really playing when Tormund came in and disrupted the arena, but I know he did because knowing what counters there were for him, there were not many of the counters that there are for him that we have now. So Armand's definitely a great champion, changed both of my accounts. I don't want to say for the better because honestly, I think he needs a little bit of a rework. I think he needs a little bit of a nerf, but he is so amazing. I cannot say that he did not affect my account in 2024. And finally, as far as the on both accounts goes, we have Grand Oak Podrig. Now, I have done a video on this dude. In fact, I'll try to link that video up here. He is an awesome, awesome support. I think he is one of the best supports, if not the best support in Raid. He brings the ally attack, which is super crucial. He brings increased speed and increased turn meter, which is crucial. He brings a cleanse, which is crucial. He brings some healing, which is crucial. He brings increased attack, increased defense, or increased accuracy to people that might need it, which is really crucial. And finally, he brings some skill resets on his A1, which is just super useful as well. He does so much. He's got a great aura for dungeons as well. He is usable in Fire Knight. In fact, he's one of the two best Fire Knight ally attackers. Well, one of the three. I would list Mikage and Cardinal as the other two. And he just brings so much to every account. Now, he was a guaranteed champion if you did a particular deck of Fate, and I did it on both of my accounts because I had enough materials to do it on both of the accounts. And it transformed both accounts. In fact, Grand Oak Podreg, in a very similar build to what I have here. In fact, I don't think I've really changed it much since I initially first built him, other than maybe glyphing it up a little bit better or maybe swapping out a piece or two. He was so powerful that I literally swapped him in for another champion in my Fire Knight team and was able to just walk that team up on full auto all the way to Fire Knight 10 from Fire Knight 6 without failing at all. That is how powerful Grand Oak is and how much of a powerful impact he had on this account. Definitely worth mentioning. He is a great champion. If you get a Grand Oak Podrig, rejoice. He is going to transform your account, but definitely one of the best champions that I got in 2024. Now, as most of you may know, I got kind of lucky very recently with mythicals, but I didn't have a mythical outside of Mikage and Carnage up until maybe 6 days ago. So they really have not had a chance to transform my account. I am very sure they will transform my account. It's already been kind of interesting using the two I've built so far, and I'm certainly working on building a couple more. And to be fair, I really like Carnage, and Mikage is a champion I did get this thing, so I could have concluded her as well. But I wanted to kind of just talk about the ones, at least on my main, that were not the mythicals. Partially to be fair to the non-mythicals, because mythicals are super powerful, but also because, as I mentioned, the really, really good ones that were not the free, like Lady Mikage ones, I haven't had a chance to deal with them yet. So I'd rather give you my full impression of what they do. And I will be putting videos out on actually all of them at some point in time soon. So hopefully in January, I'll get all of those videos out. But we are going to talk about the non-mythicals that affected my main. So I'll admit this one's a little bit of a cheat because I'm kind of including two champions in the place of one. But the White King and the White Queen pair have been transformative on my main. White King was a guaranteed, and I pulled for him. And White Queen was a fusion, and I definitely pulled for her. And they both really kind of need to be mentioned. I've got White Queen on both accounts. I don't use her as much on my alt as I do on my main, partially because I use her an awful lot with the king, but she's still a very transformative champion because it is very nice to actually have this revive here and this passive here. So this revive here is great. The fact that you've got a skill reset in the revive makes her very Godseeker-esque, and this revive has a lot of extra cool features as well. Pairs really well with Narcissus, but it's honestly a great revive overall. And the fact that she's got a passive to help grab and transfer where some of these crowd controls can happen has made her an influence in Arena by everybody and not just with the White King. However, with the White King, she is an absolute menace because she adds strength into her kit as well. She does resetting on his skills. She does the revive a little bit better, and she just shrugs off all of these crowd controls as well. Meanwhile, the White King is, for me at least, the first champion that really gave me a consistent and usable counter to Taurus. And I had a Harima. Harima does a decent job of countering it, but not the way Narcissus does. Narcissus can really put Taurus in his place, but also helps with Rhodoses, also helps with Galathirs, also helps with Sigfrins. He does a lot of control and a lot of counter to champions that I was struggling with in Arena. He does an absolute ton of damage. He brings a possible block revive, although it is a little bit conditional and it can be difficult to get that to work sometimes. And overall, he's even got a reset. I use him even without the White Queen in live arena quite regularly because he is one of my best damage dealers, but he also is super flexible. He is very tanky because of an HP champion, and just overall has such a great kit that it is hard to say no to using Narcissus. So the pair, the White King and Queen, definitely some of the most influential champions on my main account on 2024. Much like we talked about Armand shaking up the meta, Odin definitely has shaken up the meta quite a bit as well. Odin has the stun along with a strip, along with a decreased defense. Now, the decreased defense is not quite as important, but the fact that he does the strippage and the stun makes him super, super useful. He will throw block damage up regularly, which can be very disruptive if you cannot deal with it. So he has been a force to reckon with in Arena, and he's been a fun champion to use as well. Not only that, but it is very underrated how much damage he does with his Guardian Judgment here. He can pretty much one-shot almost any champion as long as you don't have a Harima on the other team, and as long as they don't have any skills that save them after a single hit. So very, very useful skill. The fact that this can steal buffs as well means that he doesn't have to worry about buffs like block damage or unkillable stopping this, because he'll just steal them when he does this ability as well. Such a good champion, such a great aura skill, 40% speed in Arena for voids only, but still a very usable and very interesting aura. Very nice to have. And just been a fun champion that has definitely changed how I build some of the champions on my account and some of the teams I've been able to put together for both Arena offense and Arena defense on my account. I absolutely love this dude. He is so much fun to use. Odin Feyfather, an account-changing champion. And finally, another account changer on my main has been Wallmaster Athorian. Now, if you look closely, you'll see I've actually pulled 3 of him, and I've empowered 1 of them, and I've kept 2 of them. I certainly could have possibly even kept the 3rd one, but I really didn't see the need for having 3 of them, particularly because I wasn't going to use both of them on the same team, although who knows, that may end up happening further down the line for Hydra. But he has been such an account changer for Hydra, especially because I've been able to get both of them in 6-piece Slayer. He does so much damage with his double hit max HP hit. He brings block debuffs, which has actually let me move past using Ugos in some of these cases. He is all AoE. He's constantly pushing his turn meter forward. He ends up being super tanky because as he starts decapitating heads, he starts increasing his max HP as well. He is an amazing, amazing champion. I love using him in Nightmare. I love using him in Brutal. I'm sure he would actually be very good even on normal and on hard. Although, again, normal and hard, you're going to get a little more out of direct damage dealers than you would out of max HP hitters. But still, he has been an absolute amazing champion and a wonderful champion adding to my roster, and will probably help your account as well. So here on my alt, we are not excluding mythicals, mostly because I pulled Mezimel quite a long time ago on this account, and Mezimel absolutely transformed this account as far as what I could do in Arena. The ability to ignore Stone Skin, the ability to block Revive, 2 things that were really missing from my account. In fact, they were missing so badly, I finally built my Allele on this account, trying to see if I could use him for some of this stuff as well. Allele, not as bad as I thought he might be, still nowhere near the champion Mezimel has proven to be. Mezimel's ability to also then transform and do AoEs as well, the ability to ignore unkillable and block damage has proven to be very, very useful. Finally getting over some of the hurdles of building some of them in the, as you can see here, I've got her in 4-piece Stone Skin and 4-piece Savage. That has been a huge boost to this account, being able to actually rely on her to survive enough to get at least the first turn, to at least lock out somebody and kill somebody. possibly getting an calculate turns, and I can choose to do whether or not I want to go for the single target block revive, ignoring Stone Skin, or maybe I want to go for the AoE and just nuke everybody down that I possibly can. She's still not perfect post buff. I think she needs to do just a little bit more damage, particularly her A1 on her second form hits like an absolute wet noodle still, and I think that that's a bit of a problem. We're not looking for an absolute major nerf, we're not looking for an absolute major nuke, but she could use a little bit of help on her second form. It's still just a little lackluster as far as the damage is concerned. But the buff for her first form, golden. She is a great mythical, not necessarily top tier, but she's been very helpful, and especially on accounts that don't have a lot of options for nukers, especially options that are involving ignoring Stone Skin. Mezimel is account transforming. Now, here's one I would not have believed if you'd told me this even during his fusion. Scorid really has transformed this account, and it's not something I was expecting, but having played with him and used him more and rebuilt him and did a guide on him, he has been absolutely transformative on my alt. Why? Well, the ability to have a damage dealer that's also putting out the Hex, that's also spreading some debuffs out there, that's hitting very hard, that has multiple different ultimate attack abilities. He does a ton of damage, and I've been able to pair him with the next champion I'm going to mention to really make a lot of use out of that A1 that spreads a bunch of damage. He hits really hard. He brings a lot of useful debuffs for Hydra, and he was a fusion champion that I was able to get without really expending too much. He has been super, super helpful on this account. I would not be doing Nightmare Hydra, which, to be fair, I had just unlocked before they nerfed Hydra, and I've finally gotten comfortable doing it again, but I would not be doing it if I didn't have Scorid here to help with the teams and push them forward. He adds a ton of damage, he adds a ton of different debuffs, and overall, he's a very good damage dealer. Is he going to be top tier amazing for every account? I don't think so, but I think he's actually a good champion worth building, and I think he took a lot of flack for being just a damage dealer when I don't think that the amount of damage that he enables your team to do really was covered properly or unlocked by a lot of content creators. Now, if you want to see my build and my overall view of him, I do have a video. I will post that video link up here as well, and go check him out, but he is definitely one of the account transforming champions on this account. And finally, last but definitely not least, we have Legate TX. TX is an absolute beast. He's got ally attacks on the A1, which has been really great because I paired him with Scorid. So as a result, Scorid is constantly spreading some debuffs around as well and does a bunch of extra damage because Scorid's A1 actually is particularly tough as well. Legate does so much damage in Hydra. He's also unlocked a lot of interesting and fun options in Arena. And in fact, because of the Lizard faction stuff, it's actually made this account feel very unique compared to my other account because I don't have Legate TX, and it's going to be very hard for me to ever pull one on my main. And there's champions that I would really like from the Lizard faction that now I would actually prefer to have on my alt rather than my main because TX will enable them to make some really fun teams. Something like a Sulfurion would be great. Again, I'd love a Krisk on either account, but Krisk on this account would be absolutely amazing. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do with champions like Legate, and I think he could be very account transforming. Now, there is other faction guardians, and honestly, I think a lot of the faction unity champions, not faction guardians, will be account changing for most people, but that's the only one I've pulled on either of my accounts, and on both of these accounts, Legate TX has definitely been one of the more impactful champions I have pulled. So there you go. That is kind of my year-end accounting review on the champions that have affected my accounts the most. Which champions have actually kind of affected your accounts? Have they been some of the fusions that we've had? Have there been some of the guaranteeds we've had? In fact, if you've looked, very few of these champions were not either event champions or guaranteed champions, or at least some kind of rate-up champion that has happened at some point in time. But they've all been very impactful, and a lot of them have been these fusions or these fragment champions. So, you know what? Make sure you're doing those fusions and those fragment summons because they can transform your account a lot more than Polarium wants me to spend money on. But they can transform your account a lot more than you might think because quite often Polarium is actually putting out these champions to fill either needs that they see that accounts have or possibly fill needs that they're seeing that people could use. Hopefully you found this fun. Let me know what accounts champions again have transformed your account. Let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys. This has been a wonderful, wonderful year as always. I thanked you in several videos, but I want to thank you again. Much, much love, everyone. You guys are absolutely awesome. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I really do appreciate all the support. And I will see you guys in 2025. I'm Bront CatHerder.